Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again in this YouTube astrological segment. I'm going to be talking about the Sun conjunct the Ascendant in Synastry. Now, first off, the basic character, which is the Sun, and then the outer demeanor, which is the Ascendant person. It can be very much the same and integrated, but this would be more so, of course, if the Sun and the Ascendant in the same sign. In most cases, that will be the case. Now, the true self, which is the Sun, and then you have the outer demeanor, the Ascendant person, may be very connected. The Sun person may intensely focus, on the Ascendant person's appearance, their outlook on life, the physical body. The Sun person, maybe, feel like, okay, I want to be, more, comparable to the Ascendant person, because in most cases, or very similar at least to the Ascendant person, because the Sun person, is the fundamental character, but it's the true self. And, in most cases, people have a different Ascendant than Sun sign. So what happens is, the Sun person can understand that, the Ascendant person is projecting the qualities of their own, their basic character, their true self. And, and that's why in many cases, the Sun person's going to want to be, like the Ascendant person. Another thing, too, is that when you have the Sun conjunct the Ascendant in Synastry, this is where the Ascendant person, may figure, very prominently, in the Sun person's ego, for good or bad. Remember, conjunctions are neutral aspects that can have good and bad qualities in them. The Sun person, may be, exceptionally, driven and motivated to be connected with the Ascendant person. And, going back to, like in many cases, you're going to have, the Sun person's going to want to be like the Ascendant person, in terms of their qualities they're projecting outwardly. If the Ascendant is in Taurus, say, those qualities outwardly project, can be very patient, persistent, persevering, loyal, steadfast, trustworthy, as some examples. And also, too, this is when you have the Synastry aspect, the Ascendant person may laud and praise, the Sun person for who or she, truly is, and give that attention and on the right amount of attention on that Sun person. And the Sun person will naturally likely be really appreciative of that, of course. And the thing too, the Sun person shines the light, so to speak, on, really the outer characteristics of the Ascendant person, the good and bad qualities. Because remember, as I stated before, that, conjunctions, are neutral aspects. They can be very intensified. It's very strong, intensification and integration of energy, but they can, not just have the good qualities, they can have some bad ones as well. Because, it's like the expression familiarity breeds contempt. When you have so much closeness, sometimes it can, ingrate on people's nerves. When you have the Sun conjunct the Ascendant person may be naturally drawn to the Sun person, because the Ascendant person, really, sees, the true self in the Sun person, much like their outer self, and vice versa, as far as how the Sun person is perceiving the Ascendant person, at least in most cases, because in most cases you will have, when you have the Sun conjunct the Ascendant in Synastry, the Sun and Ascendant will be in the same sign. If they're in different signs, you could still have an intense connection. The two people may still feel drawn to each other, but the Sun person, as far as their true self, those characteristics will not be like the Ascendant person. So that's where you have that that difference. Now, the thing too is the Sun individual may desire, again, to have that more that outer demeanor, that the ascendant person has that outer personality that the ascendant person easily projects. And the ascendant person, may really may commend and laud the sun person for the life, the general life that the sun person lives. And and the thing too is, when you have, this synastry aspect, that ascendant person may have that proclivity to make that sun person, come out, basically, to bring the sun person out. There might be some, you've heard the expression, make the sun come out, right? So the ascendant person, there might be something in him or her that naturally attracts the sun person to come to him or her, whether it's on a platonic or romantic level. Now, as I've stated in previous videos, you've got to look, like like when I talked about, in my earlier natal chart videos, about never isolating any single one astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person astrologically speaking, because the person is the sum of all their components in their chart and not just one. Well, the same applies for synastry aspects. And when you have synastry between two charts, you're going to have a plethora of aspects, and at least in most cases, you're going to have a ton of them. And you really, need to just look at everything, because one synastry aspect alone is not going to make or break a connection or relationship with somebody. And this one is no exception. Now, this one can be very strong, intense, aspect. Naturally, you're talking about the sun and the ascendant being conjunct in synastry, and both are, key, proponents in the chart. They're two of the considered the big three in the horoscope. But the thing is, let's say, for example, somebody, two people have the sun conjunct the ascendant in synastry. But let's say, they have the ascendant square or opposition the ascendant in synastry. Now, that could modify things, so to speak, because you can have, the outer demeanors could still clash, that the energy, the qualities that are being projected outwardly by both people, there could be a very strong disparity. Now, in a romantic connection, if you have the ascendant oppose the ascendant, yes, that could still be, the opposites attract theory can come into play. But if you have, let's say it's in a platonic connection, and if you have the ascendant, square or opposite the ascendant, and then it can be a little rough riding, and it might modify this aspect to some degree, the sun conjunct the ascendant, because you're going to have the outer demeanors may clash with those people, those qualities that are being naturally projected, or the two people may strongly differ in terms of their general outlook on life. You could have a Leo ascendant, and let's say you have, somebody in synastry has the Leo ascendant oppose another's Aquarius ascendant. The Leo ascendant is more, outwardly about self-love and wanting to be lauded and praised for whatever they do, and all this recognition, wanting accolades, and and just shining in general. But you have, the Aquarius ascendant would be more, outwardly about, just doing things more like in groups, being unobtrusive, being more inconspicuous, not worried about the limelight as much as working for more of a collective good, doing environmental things that are benefiting more humanity. It's more of an outward expression of loving humanity in contrast to loving the self. So you have, you would have the two, outlooks, the outer demeanors would be, there'd be a strong disparity between the two. But anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.